This is the application for the eufy indoor cam S350. As we can see, it is up here on the top, and we've got a time date stamp, a 3-dot quick menu to get us to the settings. If we tap on that, we can access our settings or snooze our camera right from here. Selecting snooze, you can select anywhere from 15 to 12 hours, meaning the camera will turn itself off, not give you any notifications, and not record anything. There also is a quick toggle in the upper left-hand corner here for privacy mode. Clicking that means the camera will spin around to your privacy mode location and not record anything. Here we have the name of the camera as well as its connectivity status. And to the left of the 3 dots is our notifications. Notice I have 99 plus because while I'm testing this, I have my cats running around in here. If I select this, this will bring me to the location of all of those clips. That's down here in events, but we will come back to that a little later. And here you can see my cat is wandering through frame as we speak. And now I have one since I looked at all of those clips prior. And this last icon, if I select this, is a playback timeline. The beauty of the S350 is that it is a wired camera, meaning that it can record all the time and then have these clipped areas. So right there, kind of lost track of the cat. But again, we'll come back to that later. That's what that icon is for. Now, if we press the play button in the middle here, that will bring us into the camera itself. Here you can see right now I have it set for the dual camera mode. And I kind of like this mode because, well, you get a wide swath of what's going on, as well as a in-close look at a specific area. From here, I can see the chair that he normally sits in, the couch he normally sits in, and the hallway if he's going down to get some food. But you can see, here's a comparison. It's a little tricky to see if he's on that couch, but if it's zoomed in, as it was, then I'd be able to tell a little better. And then I do have the auto tracking on, which is why the camera shifted. But after 10 seconds, the camera will move itself back to its home location. Right here, we have the name of the camera as well as its connectivity status. And then here we have a trigger for the alarm. And hopefully my guy's a little far enough away. If I select that, you can trigger the camera to have the sound, or if you have the home base 3, you can select to have that trigger as well. So you can do one or the other or both. And in my case, I will just do the camera, confirm. Now it's going off. Oh, poor guy. I am so sorry. We'll stop that because he is not happy about that. But again, here you can see the wide angle versus the close. And if you are wondering, he has a little diabetic patch on him to let me know what his blood reading is like if you happen to see that in the camera. Moving down, we have the ability to change this to full screen mode, and it will shift the way that our tools are. But notice in full screen mode, we lose the ability to have the stack. So from here, we can either select 1x zoom or the 3x zoom on the side, just like that. And then we'll back that out. And then I will select to go back to the view that we were in before. There is one downfall of this. In this mode, you can only have up to 2K. If you want the full 4K that this can do, you will have to have just the wide angle view. If you swipe on your screen, you can move the camera left, right, up and down, as you can see there. And we'll just focus back in on him while we do the rest of this. Coming down and to the left, we have our record. If I select record, this is going to record what is happening in real time. Whatever's on screen, his little movements there will be recorded. I click on that and it will save it to the downloads area. Here we have a toggle for sound. That is your ability to hear what is going on from the other end of this. Here we have our full duplex. So if I select that, now if he wants to pay attention, yep, there he goes. He thinks he'll get treats if he stares at this thing long enough. He can hear me, and then I can hang up. If there was a person there and they spoke back to you, you would be able to hear them and speak to them at the same time. Right here, we have our pan tilt controls. Notice that no matter what screen you're on, it's going to bring those up. So I kind of like the ability to be able to be on whatever screen and then adjust my pan tilt controls however I want. Here is playback. We were in that location before where it's a timeline of all the things that happen. And each of these yellow lines is something that has happened. This blue is just the camera recording, and it is using local AI, and that's why it has a picture of the cat. Is this a pet? Yes, this is a pet. And now I've taught the local AI that that's my pet as he's walking around. If we pinch to zoom, we could see each of these events. And if I come to this one here, that's the cat again. There we go. This is me walking in front of the camera, and here it's identifying that there are two people. Here we can play pause, move forward, move back, turn off the sound, or we can speed this up to 16 times as fast in order to get through a longer clip if we wanted to. While we're in our clips, we can select download. It will download that specific clip. I can share it, I can donate it, and I can delete this particular clip. And we're going to select back. That was all under our playbacks area. Eufy has changed the way that their application works, so now you just slide to the left and you get more icons. Here we have our snapshot. It's a pair of scissors, but all that means is you take a still image of whatever's on the screen right at this time. Here we have our night vision. Well, do we want auto, off, or on? AI tracking, you could turn that on or off. Right now it's off. What that means is it will not target a human or a pet that happens to walk into frame. I actually like that feature, so I have that on. Here we have our presets. Now you can set individual presets in the settings of this, but what this will allow you to do is toggling your preset will move the camera to predefined locations, and you can see this says 1, 3, and 3. If you were on the single view, which I'll show you later, it would zoom in and punch into those areas, and then we'll just move the camera again to give you an idea of what those presets are like. And you can notice while I move the camera back to its home position that there is a little distortion as it moves, but it's a small price to pay for what you can do with this camera. Now we also have our 360 degree look, which will just rotate the camera 360 degrees in a slow panning fashion. So here you can really kind of see the distortion, especially on these vertical blinds. Here we're going to hit a wall, but as we move, you'll see them kind of bow a little bit. Again, it's not terrible because it's really on the far ends to give it that wider field of view. And it's going to, again, like I said, do a full 360. So it's going to come all the way to the wall over here before returning to its center or set point. And we'll give that a moment to go back. While it's rotating, I'll move on to the next icon, which is the last icon, and that is calibration. If you select calibrate, it's going to move itself around. This is not meant for you to see what's going on. This is meant for the camera to find its true center point so that when you have it placed, you know this is where it should be, and then you can move it physically and then set your different motion points. That is everything that we can do to control this camera. Let's move up to the settings, which is where the meat of what this camera can do is located. Starting off in the upper right-hand corner, we have a button to toggle on and off privacy mode. Again, depending on where you set your privacy mode, because you can change that down here, is where this will rotate to. Here we have the name of our camera, its status, a little image, and then it is connected to our home base. If we wanted to, we can connect this to Wi-Fi and have an internal SD card, but I have the home base, so I figured I might as well use it. Here you can see you have two different options, and that would be for the SD card or the home base, in that you can continuously record and have events, or you can record events only. If you're using a powered camera, I always recommend using the continuous recording and then be notified for events, whether that's saving it to the home base or an SD card within the camera. Here we have our motion detection. Selecting this allows you to turn on and off motion detection, and then we could set up activity zone. So if I select set, this will allow me to set up an activity zone, and we would do that by pressing the plus sign, and then we get this hexagonal shape, and we can do that 2 times. You can see 2 different colors, and I like this because it is very adjustable. The one problem that I have with activity zones on a camera that moves is those activity zones don't disable the motion, and if something's moving, that zone moves with it. Here we have detection types. So we have human recognition, enhanced, powered by the Homebase 3, just like human detection, powered by the Homebase 3, vehicle, pet, and all other. Now, you can have some of these with just having the SD card, but really what you want this for is to be paired with your eufy system, and that system has the home base. Here we can have detection sensitivity and then AI tracking, meaning will it follow a person or a pet or vehicle. Here we have sound detection. Well, if I turn this on, it will say, what types of sound? Well, you can have all sounds, a baby crying, which I don't have in my house, so can't test that, and then sensitivity, and then round look. When a sound is detected, the camera will actively look around to automatically find out what is happening. Coming back, we have our pan tilt settings. Here's another place that we can toggle on and off the AI tracking. Here we have our screen gestures. That was me moving it up and down, and then I forgot to show you the tap to focus, which is the zoom, which is just a double tap. We have a pan tilt settings, so this is our rotation speed, and then another area where we can calibrate. We have auto cruise. Right now I have this disabled, but if you turn this on, the camera will automatically rotate through your presets every 10 seconds. So if you select tour, this is going to give you an example of what your camera is going to do, and I'll give it about, well, it's 10 seconds before it will actually trigger. So I'm going to try and talk to see if it will trigger. There we go. Now it's moving to the next zone. And notice it's the single view right now. So it's doing that push-in as I talked about before. Now, if you don't want to have the cruise mode enabled all the time, you can add a rule, which is pretty much just setting up a schedule. From when to when do you want this to happen, the interval between its ships, and then what days of the week. So this is very customizable if you don't need that cruise happening all the time, which is great. And then calibration enabled. If you have this in auto enabled, after active, this feature, the camera, will automatically calibrate when the tracking process complete. This means that the camera is going to calibrate itself pretty much after every action it takes. So I recommend disabling that. It's unnecessary. Angle settings. So here we have our privacy angle. This is, again, the default position for this, but maybe I don't want it looking up. I can select down or to the right or left. My one problem with this is when you bring it down, you cannot bring it down far enough that it feels like the camera is not looking at something. So that's why they have it angled up and turned around. Here we have our preset positions, and notice it's going through a calibration process as I come in here. So we're gonna give that a moment to do its thing. When you're setting up your presets, you're always gonna see it in this single view, which is why this one is listed at 3, and notice it shifts it over and pushes in. If I wanted to delete one of these, I simply press the X in the upper right hand corner, and then to set a new one, I can bring the camera to the position I want, make sure I hit the box that I want, and then hit set, and that will add it to there. I can also select this and set it as the default position. After our align settings, we come down to our video settings. From here, we have our night vision. So again, auto, off, and on, watermark, and timestamp. So I can have timestamp and logo. I can have timestamp only, or I can turn everything off. I like having both the timestamp and the logo. View mode, right now I have it on the dual mode. You can see up to 2K, or I can select the single mode, which will allow me to get up to 4K video. Coming down, we now have stream quality. If I had the dual, I would not be able to select 4K. I would only be able to select 2K, and this would be grayed out. Record quality, likewise, well, here we go. Now that I'm doing the single video mode, I can select 4K. So you have options to set it for both the streaming quality and your recording quality. And then we have our privacy zone, add privacy zone. I like this in that if you set up a privacy zone, well, the camera will no longer move. If you set up a privacy zone, what this will be is just a box that prevents you from seeing or recording whatever is in that location. It's great if you have this in a sensitive area and you don't want to see something in one specific location. Maybe you've got sensitive information there, or you have a baby's crib there and you don't want that showing up in your recordings. Privacy zone will take care of that for you. And then you can rotate your image 180 degrees, meaning, well, now we flipped it upside down because maybe I had this mounted on a ceiling, as we can see here. And I'll pop back in there and really screw with your orientation because now it's upside down, and we'll flip that back. Come down to our audio settings. Here we have microphone on and off, audio recording on and off, speaker, and then speaker volume. So if you ever needed to turn off your audio recording, because in some places you're not allowed to do that, that's where you would go. Here we have notifications. You can get notified for human, pet, crying, all sounds, all motion, and then your interval. So you can have notification, which is what I was getting, which is why none of these are checked right now, because my cat is rather active and I was getting it constantly. But you can have that delayed up to 5 minutes, and you can select only things that you want to be notified, maybe only humans and maybe only pets. You also have different types of notification options. Most effective, you get the notification right away without delay, but it's only text. Full effect, you get text notification first, and then when available, the thumbnail will be produced. And then last is include the thumbnail, but this will take the longest because it does not send a pre-notification with just text. And then here we have motion alerts, a tone. So you can set as default or come in here and change to any one of those. And moving on to general. We have the name of the unit, the LED status light on the front. We have our storage. So right here, we have local storage. This is not local. This is actually using the Homebase 3. We can format. This would be the same if you had an SD card, or clear. Not going to do either because I have multiple cameras going to that home base. We have cloud backup. This is where eufy will charge you a fee if you chose to use this. Here you can see kind of the pricing for that, but I like the fact that eufy does not require it because you can have the home base local storage or you can have an SD card. And then here you have NAS RTSP support. Selecting that, well, here you go. It will walk you through the steps of setting that up if you wanted to use it. Next, we have our Wi-Fi. Well, I am connected to the home base, so I do not have a Wi-Fi name here, but if you needed to change your Wi-Fi connection, that's how you could do it. You have your mounting. So 180 degrees, flip that upside down, placement guidelines, installation. It will walk you through the process of all that. And then about this device, there's going to be some sensitive information in there, so I will not be showing you that. You have the ability to share this device. You can select invite, and then you can give somebody admin access to your camera or guest access, meaning they can't do anything except view. They will need to have their own eufy app and eufy email. So keep that in mind when sharing, and then share your thoughts with eufy about your camera. Last on this page is the remove this device. So if you wanted to get rid of this camera from your eufy app, that's how you would do it. And here you can see now that I'm on the single view, this right here is showing me 4K. If I select that, I can change this to 2K, 1080, 720, or auto. This was also an option when I had the dual view, but I wanted to show you this screen because if I tap, that will zoom things in, and then double tap to zoom out, or you can even pinch to zoom to get a little closer, and I'll double tap out. And then if you're in the single view, down here you'll have a toggle between the 1 and 3x, and then you'll watch the camera zoom in and you'll see where it cuts over to the closer view, but it's not terrible. You do notice it, but it's not too disjointing, but it's kind of why I prefer the dual view, but it's trade-off. You don't get as high quality video with the double versus the single. But that has been everything that we can do in the eufy application for the eufy S350.